Hey, what is going on, Twintendo Nation? Hope you're having an awesome day. So, a couple of weeks ago, I made a video on how I felt Pokemon the last few years has been a bit in decline, I'd say. And for those who have seen it, you might remember I asked you guys, would you like my honest thoughts on Pokemon Sword and Shield? Because that video wasn't related to Sword and Shield. That was more about X and Y, Sun and Moon, and the Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee games that have come out the last 3 or 4 years. And yeah, you guys really wanted to hear what I've been thinking about Pokemon Sword and Shield. I've kind of kept it on a down low just because there's so much negativity. I didn't want to really go into that really and feel negative about the game myself, and I didn't really want to add to that because obviously the game is not perfect. I think all of us know that. So I'm gonna give my honest thoughts about what I think about Pokemon Sword and Shield, what's really good about them, because there are a lot of good things about these games that I'm really looking forward to. It's still my most anticipated game this year. I'm really looking forward to it. Having said that, there are a lot of things this game can do to improve. So as you guys know, the Pokemon community has been very divided on these games, and I've not known myself really where I stand with them either for the longest time. Only for the last couple of months I've started to understand how I feel about these games. With the National Dex, we're going to go over that. Obviously we're going to go over all the new Pokemon, the Galar forms and evolutions, Dynamax and Gigantamax, and the graphics, animations. We're going to go over every single thing I can think of for these games, and I'm just going to give my honest opinion. So this is a little bit different than my scripted video, so if you do enjoy it, make sure to hit the like button down below. If you want to stay up to date with everything Pokemon Sword and Shield, you're in the right place. Make sure to hit the subscribe button down below to become a part of Twintendo Nation. Now before we start today's video, I'd like to thank Skillshare for sponsoring today's video. As you guys know, I don't really do many sponsors on the channel over the last 4 or 5 years I've been doing YouTube, and that's because I feel like a lot of the offers I receive do not benefit you guys. If I feel like it doesn't benefit you, I will not do that sponsor. But Skillshare is worthy of your attention. So for those who don't know what Skillshare is an online learning community that provides thousands of classes and video tutorials that can help you learn all sorts of skills like graphic design, photography, film and video, animation, creative writing, and much more. Now personally, I've been using Skillshare these past few weeks to learn more about photography, and if any of you follow me on Twitter or Instagram, you know how I love taking pictures of sunsets in the countryside, and there's a perfect class and video tutorial on how to improve, your sunset photography, nighttime photography, stuff I'm really interested in. With over 25,000 online classes, Skillshare really has something for everyone. So if you're looking to learn new skills or maybe improve on existing ones, Skillshare is the right place to do it. So if you're interested in learning some new skills, make sure to check out the link in the description for Skillshare to start a 2-month free trial, which is really good value. Okay, so let's talk about Pokemon Sword and Shield. I think there's only one place to start, guys. I think you all know. That's the National Dex. Okay, so a lot of people are very split on the National Dex, as to, it's not coming back as far as we're aware. At the moment, it doesn't look that way. Game Freak basically said it's not going to come back because they can't, include every single Pokemon, because they don't have time, I think, to work on all the animations or the models. It's a complicated hot mess, basically. So a lot of people thought the models were just being transferred from Pokemon Sun and Moon. They kind of look that way. They just have, new graphics on top of them. But apparently all the models are built from scratch, even though they are very similar, almost identical. And as to why they haven't included all the Pokemon, it's basically because they say they're working on so many high quality animations, that personally have we seen. I think the game looks good. The animations for me is the weakest point, which we'll get onto later. But as to whether the National Dex should be in the game, at all, yes, it should be. I'm not one of those bring back the National Dex guys. I think the fans have kind of not helped things, but I'll get onto that in a second. The National Dex, I always thought would get cut one day. I feel like we're going to reach a point where there's far too many Pokemon to include every single one. I did not think it'd be Generation 8. I thought it'd be like Generation 10, with like 1,000 plus Pokemon. We're only up to probably going to hit around 900, which is still, don't get me wrong, still a lot of Pokemon. But I always feel like they should at least try to put these Pokemon in afterwards through a patch. Maybe, they don't have to spawn in the wild. All these Pokemon don't have to spawn in the wild, but as long as we can transfer them and use their, use them in battles and stuff, as long as they have the models and animations for that, I don't see why they can't, really. Which don't really make sense. Like I said, they don't have to appear in the Galar Region, which is like most of the Pokemon when you bring them over, and complete the National Dex in other games. They don't appear in that region, but you can still use them. And I just don't see why we can't do that in this case. Is it make or break for me? Absolutely not, because for me, the most exciting thing about Pokemon Sword and Shield will be using, 6 new Pokemon, obviously even more. The new Pokemon is what sells a game for me. The reason why people are getting upset, and it's completely understandable, is their favorite Pokemon might not make it into, Pokemon Sword and Shield. That is a big thing. Everyone has a different favorite Pokemon, really. You could go through the entire Pokedex, and that Pokemon is someone's favorite. So it's, some people are going to be disappointed. I used to bring my original Pokemon Ruby and Sapphire team through every Pokemon game up until Pokemon Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, because I thought it was a nice circle, bringing them back to where they started in a way. And if I was still doing that, and this is a team that consists of Swampert, Blaziken, Sceptile, Flygon, which we know is in Pokemon Sword and Shield, at least Flygon, and Rayquaza, whatever you want to say. If any of them were not in, and I had to leave some behind and bring some over, I wouldn't like that. I would completely agree with you guys who are upset about it. I would not like that. I'm not doing that anymore. I'm not bringing my team over. As much as I'd like to, I'm kind of tempted to, but if I was still doing that and they did not make it, any of those Pokemon, I would be very upset. So I completely understand the upset and anger. I definitely think fans are taking it far, way too far with, all the threats and I think you guys have seen on Twitter, but a lot of abuse towards the creators, which I think is unfair, because I feel like Game Freak have been given, they've been given a deadline from Nintendo to, these games had to come out December, or not December, but the holiday period, sorry, for 2019. They would love to delay the game. I'm sure Game Freak would love to say, look, we want to work on this for another year. You ask any game developer, they want their game to be perfect from launch. Unfortunately, Game Freak don't have that luxury, with the Pokemon anime and the Pokemon merchandise. They all have to come out at similar time. It's not as easy as saying delay the Pokemon anime, because it takes at least 6 months to book a TV slot. But like I said, the National Dex should be in the game. I do think the fans have not helped their case, but I understand the upset and disappointment. I feel like these Pokemon should be patched in afterwards. Whether that'll happen, I'm not sure. Now, the Pokemon I think that should be included, this is kind of controversial because it's like my opinion, but I think starters have to be included. Every single starter has to be in Pokemon Sword and Shield, and the reason I say that is starter Pokemon are some of people's favorites, which is understandable because most of the time it's your first ever Pokemon. And I think legendary Pokemon, again, they're very special to people, and I feel like starters and legendaries have to be brought over. And I don't like picking Pokemon over other Pokemon, but I feel like those are the Pokemon that need to come to Pokemon Sword and Shield. So that is my opinion of the National Dex. It's not great, but I'm not going to kick up a fuss about it because I'm just looking forward to the new Pokemon. But I understand your disappointment and anger, because like I said, if I was still bringing my old team, I think I would feel quite differently how I do now. Still would be looking forward to the new Pokemon. I don't plan on using any old Pokemon in my Pokemon Sword and Shield team, which we'll get to later. But at the same time, I'd still like the opportunity and the option to use older Pokemon. So let's talk about the new Pokemon revealed so far. This is something at least more uplifting and fun. So my opinion on all the Pokemon revealed so far, I like pretty much all of them. So obviously we have the starters. I think the starters all look great. I'm Team Subble at the moment, Subble Squad. But I think they're all fine. I absolutely love Wooloo. Wooloo is a certainty on my team. I'm not the biggest fan of Gossifleur, but I'm assuming it's a first stage Pokemon, and it evolves into Eldegoss, which I actually really, really like. And then obviously we have Dreadnought, which I think is a fantastic Pokemon. I love that Pokemon design. Corviknight is fantastic. Again, a fantastic, brilliant design. Nothing wrong with any of these Pokemon. In fact, I think they're already better than a lot of the Generation 6 and 7 Pokemon we've seen. And then we have Yamper, an electric Corgi. What more can you ask for? It's just amazing. That's going to be on my team. Impidimp, wasn't keen on this at first, but it's definitely grown on me. I'd like to see what potential this Pokemon has, but I think it's quite cool now. Again, like I said, wasn't keen on it at first, but like it now. Alcremie, going to be on my team. I really like Alcremie. At least I plan to have it on my team. There's so many Pokemon I could include, but I really like the looks of this Pokemon. It's quite different. And then there's Roly-Coly. Not much to say on this Pokemon so far. Its design is quite basic. Obviously, I'm assuming it's going to evolve into something bigger, but nothing wrong with its design. Just I need to see what this Pokemon has in store for us. So moving on to the Pokemon I probably like the least is Duraludon, the Steel Dragon type. I just don't get what this Pokemon is, what it's supposed to look like. Not too keen on it. It's not bad, but it's okay. I'm not too fussed about it really. And then obviously we have the legendary Pokemon Zacian and Zamazenta. They are a bit too similar in my opinion. I still like them. I don't think they're the strongest legendaries we've ever had in terms of design, but they're okay. They're not too bad. And of course, how could I not talk about Galar forms and Galar evolutions, which is something completely brand new to Pokemon Sword and Shield. I mean, obviously we had Alolan forms in Pokemon Sun and Moon, but Galar forms and evolutions, they take it a step further. Like I said, they evolve. So we have, you know, Galar Wheezing, which I'm assuming there's going to be a Galar Coughing, but Galar Wheezing, Poison Fairy, looks really good. And then there's Galar, Zigzagoon, Linoon, and Obstagoon. Honestly, really, really cool. Did not see that coming. I've always wanted evolutions for older Pokemon. It's, you know, obviously not the same as, you know, just older Pokemon evolving. This is a form and then an evolution, but it's still better than nothing. And I really, really like, you know, what we've seen so far, and I think this has a lot of potential. So let's move on to Dynamax and Gigantamaxing. Something I'm not really bothered about at all. I think Dynamaxing is okay. It's, you know, any Pokemon can do it, which is quite cool. And that means, you know, gym battles are going to be a lot of fun because obviously the gym leaders can Dynamax their Pokemon. It's going to have some really epic battles. My problem with this is, well, not necessarily with Dynamax, it's more Gigantamaxing, which again is fine. They get even bigger, they have, you know, form changes, but this should have been Mega Evolution for me. The problem with Pokemon is they'll introduce something for 3 or 4 years, you know, basically something new every generation, and people will, you know, will kind of stick to it, they'll like it, and then they'll just basically like pull the rug from under us and it's gone forever. Well, not gone forever, but they just don't add to it and it's kind of forgotten about. Mega Evolutions in Generation 6 were the best thing to happen in Generation 6, in my opinion. That's what made X and Y good games for me. They weren't great in terms of story or anything, but Mega Evolutions was a game changer, and it's something pretty much everyone universally loved at the time. And then they introduced Z moves in Generation 7. I personally could not care less about Z moves. I don't think they're anything special. They're not bad, but I just never had the urge to use them. And Mega Evolutions were just cool to see a Pokemon get like a 4th stage temporarily. And then Gigantamaxing is kind of like, it's a combination of Mega Evolutions and Z moves, because you get obviously a unique move you can use when you Gigantamax, and you also get a form change. But I feel like this should have just been Mega Evolution because fans love that. I am not bothered about Pokemon getting bigger. I think it looks a bit silly, to be honest, and I'd just rather see this Pokemon change form in a more natural way like Mega Evolution. I know it's not the most natural way, but you know what I mean. I feel like Mega Evolution would just make more sense, and now it's kind of confusing the lore, like why does something change form when it's Gigantamax and not, you know, why can't it Mega Evolve? I don't know. I think it should have just been a Mega Evolution. I feel like a lot of people will agree with me on that, and of course people will disagree with me on that. But I'm just not too fussed about Gigantamaxing. Dynamaxing is okay. Like I said, any Pokemon can use that, so I'm not too bothered. Gigantamaxing, I don't think we really need it. So next up, we're going to move on to the Galar region. You know, what I think about the region, because for me, I explained this in, I think it was, you know, has Pokemon peaked? That video is Pokemon in decline, basically. My favorite thing about playing Pokemon games is the region. You know, going through all the cities, the lore, just the actual, you know, the feel, because you want to feel like you're exploring, you know, an amazing world. And I felt really let down with Generation 7 with Alola. I thought it was really boring and bland, which was so disappointing because Hawaii is the opposite. I just didn't feel like there was any memorable places compared to, you know, X and Y's Kalos region. And I know there will be so many people who say, actually, it's the other way around for me. I preferred Alola to Kalos. And that's fine. That's just me personally. I thought there was no exploration. There was nothing to really go out and search for. Like, for example, X and Y wasn't great at it, but they had Zygarde and Terminus Cave. And with Necrozma and Pokemon Sun and Moon, it's like, yeah, it's just at 10 Carat Hill where you started. That was really disappointing. I always love beating the Elite Four and Champion and then looking at the map, like, where has, like, opened up for me to have a look. And know that you haven't seen everywhere before you get to the Champion. And yeah, it just felt like really, really disappointing. And I feel like the Galar region has a lot of potential to have lots of great exploration. We've seen what this region looked like. It's obviously based off the UK. We've not seen everywhere, but the cities look really, really good. They look a lot bigger. But I feel like this game looks really, really nice in terms of they got the aesthetics completely down well. For someone who lives in England, it looks absolutely brilliant. It looks like the countryside where I grew up in, because I was born down south in England, you know, in the countryside, and now I live in a city. The cities also look very, very similar, so they've definitely got the feeling completely right. I think that's great. Wild areas are something I've really, really wanted in Pokemon for the longest time. That exploration, that option to turn the camera, so it's not like obviously fixed on you, That's something I wanted since Generation 3, probably, when I saw Pokemon Colosseum. And, you know, you'd see sandbox games and you'd just feel like, imagine if Pokemon did that. It's not, you know, as big as like Skyrim or anything, and it's not like Breath of the Wild, but we're getting there. It's a good step in the right direction, and I think wild areas are going to be the best thing about Pokemon Sword and Shield. It's what I'm most looking forward to, is just walking around, seeing a Pokemon in the distance that I've never seen that Pokemon before. Like, what the heck is that? Go up to it and it's a brand new Pokemon. How exciting is that to see like a Pokemon you've never seen before just walking around or chilling? So I think that's amazing. Hopefully shiny Pokemon will be seen in the overworld like they did with Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee. That would be very, very exciting as well. And yeah, that is something I just cannot wait for Pokemon Sword and Shield. So looking at the rivals, this is something I feel like Pokemon have been listening to the fans for once, is having that cocky, arrogant rival you really want to beat, and that looks like Bede. I think it's pronounced Bede. I was saying Betty earlier, but I'm pretty sure most people are going with Bede. So Bede looks really, really cocky. There's been translations of what he's been saying in the Japanese trailer, because he actually got a bit of dialogue in that, and it kind of basically confirms he's going to be that arrogant rival that we've always wanted since Generation 2, a long time ago really. Rivals have been very hit and miss since, especially Generation 6 and 7. Could not really care for those rivals, I'll be honest. And then obviously we have Hop, who is basically HOW 2.0. We'll get onto Hop in a little bit. And then we have Marnie, who is a very, very interesting character. It's going to have a lot of, I think, involvement in the story. Maybe it's going to be like the Lily of the game, has a bit more focus on her. Really, really excited to see her character. She seems really, really interesting. And then there's Team Yell. Really not bothered about Team Yell, I'll be honest. From what I've seen, I feel like there's definitely going to be more to him. We've only seen the grunts and we don't know, you know, anything about the story. Half of the story, nothing. We know nothing. We've just seen the grunts and kind of what their motivation is, which is to follow Marnie and support her. There's definitely going to be something more to that for sure. But as for now, just on that basis, I don't really like them. But I think they could maybe improve. They're either going to be the weakest team to me, which is going to be hard to beat Team Flare because they were awful. Or, you know, there's going to be something more to them, which I obviously expect there is. And, you know, they're actually going to be okay. But for now, I'm not really too bothered. And finally, we're going to talk about something that I'm not massively, not necessarily excited about, but I feel like it needs improving. These are mainly the improvements I feel like are needed. Graphics-wise, I think the game looks good. I have no complaints about the graphics. I know some people say compared to Breath of the Wild, you know, Mario Odyssey, this game does not look good. I kind of disagree with that. I definitely think it could look better. I think it looks really, really good. Battles look sharp. You know, the overworld looks really nice. Apart from a few things which we're going to bring up, that tree, obviously, that definitely needs talking about. But yeah, I feel like in terms of graphics, it looks good, not great, could be better. But graphics, we've never really played Pokemon for the graphics. I know now it's on a home console, it has less of an excuse, but I don't think these are bad Switch graphics, far from it. Animations wise, okay, this is something that I am not keen on at all. Animations have been pretty disappointing from what I've seen. The Wingull flying in the wild area did not look good. We saw some animations actually in the later trailer of Galarian and Linoon hopping through the grass. I thought that looked good, but some things kind of have been very hit and miss for me. The battle animations have been really disappointing. I'll be honest, guys, it was fine when they were on the 3DS. You know, we've had these battle animations since Pokemon X and Y, and obviously some have been improved upon, but when you look at Pokemon Battle Revolution, which was on the Wii, and you look at Pokemon Sword and Shield 12 years later, and Battle Revolution had better battle animations, it had unique fainting animations for every single Pokemon, it's fair enough to be disappointed. I think animations have been underwhelming, and I feel like they need a big overhaul for the next Pokemon game. They're okay for now, but it doesn't feel like a big step up for Pokemon. If they had the animations of a Pokemon like running up and, you know, hitting that Pokemon, because we've seen the Skull Bunny double kick, that doesn't look good, I'll be real. You know, I'm really positive about these games, but I just think animations have been a big letdown. That's my personal problem with these games, but it's not a big thing. I mainly turn battle animations off anyway, but I think a lot of the animations we've seen Hop use HOW's, you know, exact identical animations from Sun and Moon, it's a bit lazy, I'll be honest, but I feel like Game Freak are pushing a deadline. That is the problem. They don't have much time to work on new animations. And this is a problem when they've mentioned that we're cutting Pokemon because of high quality animations. I feel the animations are not high quality. Whether we'll see, actual high quality animations they've not shown us, I'm sure we will. But that's a problem. Animations are the weakest part, and when they're saying they're cutting Pokemon for that reason, again, I completely understand why people are upset that Pokemon are being cut. And yeah, going back to graphics, with the tree, the wild areas need a bit of improving. Like I said, wild areas are going to be the best thing about Pokemon Sword and Shield, mark my words. But that tree, yeah, it wasn't great. But at the end of the day, this game was, when that was shown, it was like 6 months off from finishing. If that tree still looks like that tree when the game launches, I will happily criticize this game for not fixing that, because it needs fixing, and I'm sure Game Freak will. I'm sure they didn't need to be told that it needed improving. But yeah, they should understand that, things need to look good. So guys, those are my honest thoughts on Pokemon Sword and Shield. Quite a lot to talk about. For me, mostly pretty positive. I'm not being paid to say this stuff. This is just generally my thought. I really couldn't care if people think I'm a shill for saying I'm looking forward to Pokemon Sword and Shield, because it looks good. It's not perfect. It has some improvements needed. The National Dex, and the lack of it is disappointing. That should be changed, but I don't think it's going to be. Graphic wise, it's good. It's not great, but I don't think there's any reason for complaint with that. Animations for me, biggest disappointment. They need quite a bit of fixing, and definitely a big step up for Generation 9, or maybe even actually, I don't really see them changing it this generation, so Generation 9, they really need to step up the animations. But apart from that, guys, really looking forward to Sword and Shield. Some things I feel like don't need to be in there, like Gigantamaxing. Dynamaxing is fine. Should have brought back Mega Evolutions. But yeah, guys, a lot to say. You don't have to agree with me, it's just me explaining my thoughts. So guys, if you did enjoy today's video, a like is super appreciated. Lets me know you'd like to see more of these kind of videos, and if you want to stay up to date with everything Pokemon Sword and Shield, you're in the right place. Make sure to hit the subscribe button down below to become a part of the Twintendo Nation. Anyway guys, thank you so much for watching, hope you have an awesome day, and I will see you on the next video. Peace!